America is running out of time. We only have so many days left before this upcoming election, and Donald Trump has made it clear that he is committed to not only his ego, but committed to destroying democracy. We have an infrastructure that is MAGA, that is committed to not only propelling Donald Trump back into the White House, but ensuring that there can never again be a free and fair election in this country. Their job in this role of fascism is to ensure that they convince enough Americans that what they plan on doing to the rest of America is okay. This clip that I want you to watch and I want to dissect with you is of Jake Tapper of CNN, and he meticulously goes through all of the statements of Donald Trump just recently. These are recent statements from Donald Trump making it clear, America, that he has every intention of turning this country into a tool of retribution that he intends on using against people that he deems more dangerous than Russia. Take a listen in.
With just 22 days left until Election Day, former President Donald Trump is claiming that his political opponents are more dangerous than foreign adversaries of the United States.
It's the enemy from within, all the scum that we have to deal with that hate our country. That's a bigger enemy than China and Russia.
The quote, enemy from within, is a phrase that the former president repeated yesterday in an interview on Fox.
We have the outside enemy, and then we have the enemy from within. And the enemy from within, in my opinion, is more dangerous than China, Russia, and all these countries.
Trump went on to suggest how he might handle these so-called enemies from within on Election Day should he win in November.
We have some sick people, radical left lunatics, and I think they're and it should be very easily handled by, if necessary, by National Guard, or if really necessary, by the military, because they can't let that happen.
Okay, let's pause it and begin our discussion here. This is Donald Trump admitting what former Defense Secretary Mark Esper said about Donald Trump during the 2020 George Floyd protest. He said that Donald Trump asked about using the military to shoot some of them in the leg. And we've seen that since 2020, his thinking and his disposition towards Americans that he disagrees with, leftists, right? He says radical leftists, is now to double down on this action. This is what he wants to do when he gets in power. Anyone who dares protest against dear leader Donald Trump could be faced with a Department of Defense that's not willing to disobey unlawful orders. More precisely, we could be facing in 2025 a Department of Defense, a military that is willing and able to execute Donald Trump's retribution on these radical leftists that he labels everyone as and says that we are all more dangerous than Russia. Donald Trump is telling you what the future is going to look like underneath his administration, and yet and still we have so many people who will not admit, and I think it's on purpose, they refuse to admit that Donald Trump has made statements that are very clear that he intends on changing this country from a democracy to some type of totalitarian state where he can use the military to squash anyone who dares protest against him. Let's keep listening in.
So who exactly are these enemies from within that Mr. Trump says he would consider deploying the military or the National Guard against? Someone that, as Trump suggests, poses a greater threat to national security than Russia or China. Who are they?
The thing that's tougher to handle are these lunatics that we have inside, like Adam Shifty Schiff.
Okay, U.S. Democratic Congressman Adam Schiff, a Democrat from California, right in the area I am right now, Los Angeles, who is now running for a seat in the U.S. Senate. He was the lead prosecutor in Trump's first impeachment trial. So, as a factual matter, stripping this of all adjectives and any bias, the Republican nominee is telling you that as commander-in-chief, he will contemplate using the United States military or National Guard to go after his political opponents, including Democrats, such as the likely next U.S. Senator from California, Adam Schiff. That's what he's saying. And he is referring to his political opponents here in the United States, Americans, as the enemy, as scum, as a bigger and more dangerous enemy than China or Russia. These are his words. This is what he is telling you that he will do if you elect him president.
Now, I appreciate Jake Tapper getting here, and it has taken most of the American media infrastructure this long to actually get to this point of saying it very directly. If you take the words that come out of the mouth of Donald Trump, then you will see he has fascism as his intention, retribution as his mission statement, and he intends on using the military as his execution tool. And who is he going to target? Well, he's going to target people like you. He's going to target people like me. He's going to target people, anyone who disagrees with him, anyone who makes him upset. Matter of fact, it will go even further than that. It won't just be about Donald Trump's ego. It will be about the ego of MAGA and all of the people in the infrastructure who may not like what you said to them online. I had someone jump into my stream the other day and say, Pastor Ben is spreading misinformation. He could go to jail soon. The information that I was sharing was direct factual information about Donald Trump and about the situation that we're facing in this country. But it doesn't matter whether or not what we say is truthful, as long as they don't like it. Donald Trump is creating the infrastructure to be able to penalize us. And that's exactly what he intends on doing. And he doesn't just plan on starting with people, low level people like me or you, like just regular people on the internet. He plans on starting with someone who could be a sitting senator. I mean, the gall, the audacity to be willing to take someone that you simply disagree with and use the more importantly than that, the audacity to think that your ego, Donald Trump, is worthy of transforming the United States of America from what it was into what you needed to be to satiate your ego. That's the unmitigated gall here. That's the audacity here. And that's what's so dangerous about Donald Trump, because he sees nothing wrong with it. In fact, he only sees it as proper. This is just the right thing to do for Donald Trump, a man who has lived his entire life and no one has ever told him no, a man who's lived his entire life and firmly believed that he has the right to ascend above everyone else. And it doesn't matter how many bodies he piles and stacks upon to get to that height. It doesn't matter how many people he has to kick off the ladder behind him. It doesn't matter. All that matters is that he gets to gratify and satiate his ego. And now he has a multi-billion-dollar MAGA misinformation machine behind him. Folks, America is in danger, and these people mean business. I'm grateful that CNN, as well as other outlets, are finally catching up to what we've been screaming at the top of our lungs for years now. Fascism is at the door. They are barbarians at their own gates, and they have every intention of transforming this country into something more like Gilead from Handmaid's Tale than the democracy you grew up in.
And it's not just retribution against his political foes. Mr. Trump is also making comments that seem to be getting darker about migrants, immigrants, undocumented workers in this country, people who came across the country, across the border illegally. You'll remember in 2015 when Mr. Trump launched his presidential bid, and so he said this about immigrants.
They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people.
Today, gone is the acknowledgement that some are good people. Instead, Mr. Trump's closing campaign message sounds more like this.
We're like an occupied country. We got people taking over parts of Colorado. We have people taking over other states. A lot of states don't want to talk about it because they're embarrassed. The governor's embarrassed. The mayors are embarrassed. But it's no different, really, than if we lost a war.
He is referring to the United States as occupied, saying it's no different than if we had lost a war. As we reported on Friday, local police in Aurora, Colorado say they have encountered some gang activity tied to a Venezuelan group, but they say any claims that city buildings have been taken over, much less parts of Aurora, much less parts of Colorado, are simply not true. But not only is Mr. Trump disparaging all immigrants, some of whom have come over into this country legally with temporary protections, such as, for example, the Haitians in Springfield, Ohio, whom he falsely accused of eating cats and dogs. Mr. Trump is also claiming that these migrants pose a direct threat to your family and to every family across the nation.
Your children are in danger. They can't go to school with these people. These people are from a different planet.
Quote, these people are from a different planet, unquote, Mr. Trump said about children.
For this to work for Donald Trump, he is going to have to dehumanize. No, let me start over. For this to work not only for Donald Trump, but also all of the people in MAGA that insist on mass deportations now, they have to dehumanize people to the point of no return, to the point where they can justify in their mind mass deportations, concentration camps, internment camps. They have to make everyone that they disagree with seem as though they are a violent threat to your personal safety. If you can stir the type of fear in people that makes them fear that you are going to commit an act of violence on them, then you are not only willing to turn a blind eye when something is being done to them, you're far more likely to participate in that atrocity. And this is the pattern behind every genocide. This is the pattern behind every ethnic cleansing. This is the pattern behind every atrocity in world history. They must absolutely dehumanize every part. Not even the children are human. Not even the children are worthwhile. This is what Donald Trump is saying of children. Let's be clear. When Donald Trump gets in power, the things we will see done in this country will pale in comparison to the things that we've already done in this country. It's not as though this country doesn't have a track record of doing the most horrific things to human beings. Ask the Native Americans, ask black people. Donald Trump wants to do this again. And it's all for the sake of his ego, as well as the multi-billion-dollar MAGA misinformation machine that has millions of people clawing, scratching for attention and clicks, for clout, for checks. All of these people are willing to go the distance for Donald Trump because now they have found a way to get notoriety and fame and to make money. And of course, some of them are just bigoted people who absolutely despise immigrants and absolutely despise you, the person who happens to disagree with them. Be sure to share, like, and subscribe to this channel, Really American, where we're taking this threat from Donald Trump and MAGA very seriously.